friends, and welcome back to Inside the Minds of Authors. I'm so excited you guys are joining us again. If you watched the first episode, hopefully you guys had a blast with our guest. I have another amazing guest, and he is coming directly from overseas. So he is taking some time on his busy night to join us from Norway. So I'm super excited. But before we get to Mr. Leo, let's talk about if you're new to the podcast. Make sure to subscribe. You don't want to miss a single episode. We are here with amazing, passionate authors talking about their books. So make sure to subscribe. We're live today on Facebook and YouTube. So if you're watching the recording, you can still put notes in the comments. I'll go back and reply. It'll be amazing. So make sure to stay tuned. We do have another guest this afternoon, probably 3 o'clock Central Time. So make sure you join us for that as well. But because you guys are here to see who do we have today, let's bring the amazing Mr. Leo. Hello, dear. How are you?
Hello, I'm good. Thanks for having me.
I am so glad you're joining us. I'm also very excited you're coming from Norway. I'm like, ooh, this is fabulous. Because it's 8 o'clock your time now. I'm like, please tell me it's not the middle of the night. Let's survive. So, Mr. Leo, we're talking about your new short story collection. So I'm going to turn it over to you so you can introduce the book and do the reading.
Yes. Okay then. Yes, my new book is called Bar Hopping for Astronauts. It's coming out with Pop Literature, and it's a collection of sci-fi short stories. And I'd like to read to you from one of them. I'll read to you from the title story, which is called Bar Hopping for Astronauts. It's a story about an elderly astronaut who's kept his suit on ever since he went to the moon, which was decades prior. And everyone's been to the moon since, and it's not such an interesting achievement anymore. But he's clinging onto it. So here we go. Dodgy bars like this one sport fake women and real bartenders, the opposite of what mostly male clientele want. But the astronaut isn't picky anymore. Besides, he doesn't much mind the prospect of spending an evening in the company of robo-strippers, their skins torn and peeling, the ragged mechanics of their limbs peering through. Decay into obsolescence merely adds to their humanity. He finds a stool at the bar's far end and sits, leaning his rubber-sheathed elbows on the counter-stinking wood. Gov cams on the walls turn to him, but amber rings of light around their lenses signify inactivity, manually disabled, no doubt, by local glow-life gangs. Flies buzz lazily between beer puddles. A blonde woman shoots him a sneering glance as she walks back to her posse of friends, all of them with glossy hair and clear heels. They gossip in tight circles, their thin voices needling in his ears. Through the chip in his head, he mentally pings a noise reduction to his helmet, reducing their sound by 50%. The middle-aged bartender approaches, his metallic pupils glowing, bloodshot streaks firing out across his corneas. Black market implants, for what purpose the astronaut doesn't know. The bartender doesn't react to the astronaut's suit or to the darkened smart glass visor covering his face. If people asked about that stuff here, the clientele would vanish. He says something, muffled words with a rising inflection. The astronaut demutes. Drink, the bartender says, miming a glass. Do you do lunar juleps, he asks. We might have lost it a few barware updates ago, but I'll check. He eventually returns with a dirty highball of slime green fluid. The astronaut dips his finger into the glass and his glove sucks it all up. Nanites metabolize the alcohol for him before the drink even reaches his bloodstream. Nanites are many things, but fun isn't one of them. As the astronaut tries to place the highball back on the bar without causing a fuss, he feels people looking at him funny. The gecko pad of his palm sticks to the glass like Velcro. He carefully unpeels it. The bartender sighs. What the hell are you doing here? Huh? By the looks of your suit, you must be what, late 60s? Try the Colores district. Do you know Tycho singles? That's more your speed. The astronaut shakes his head. They don't let me in with the helmet on. Then take it off. I can't. I'm not babysitting some dementia-ridden old coot, okay? I'll do you this one last courtesy, then be on your way. The bartender eyes up the suit. I can see the flap for the emergency cord from here. The red one, right here, I'll get it. The astronaut bats the hand away. He turns and pushes through the throng, heading back outside. He catches his breath in the street. Snow stills the air, quelling the city noise. Teens pass him by, shooing pesky ad drones that quiz them about alcohol consumption and sexual appetites. Strump bots stand at regular intervals, maximally optimizing the sidewalk's revenue without intruding upon one another's territory. White clouds of vape juice bloom before him, and the nanites, alerted to this anomaly, replicate the smell for him in his helmet. Cotton candy mingling with poor quality weed. Red light shimmers off the astronaut's visor. It settles on his chest as a flickering laser dot. He traces its source to the thick black bangle of a glowlife with a blonde quiff who leans on a nearby defunct autocab. Pew pew, the glowlife says, making finger guns. The astronaut flinches. A woman in the glowlife crew laughs. She has studs of metal pierced seemingly at random across her face. Braids of light in her hair stream rainbow colours. Dog hollows caper around her poodle skirt. He actually thought you were firing at him? Old man, you think that's possible? What's this suit all about? Says the third guy in the posse. A green animated graffiti tag shimmers on his muscle tee, and red biotats of demons smirk on his deltoids. Quiff cocks his head. Is that the Vitus New Moon model? What's Vitus? Poodleskirt says. Oh wait, she sings the Vitus jingle. Overcoming limits of biology, colonizing space with technology. Were those ads from like the 70s? Biotat says. Dude, how old are you? Quiff says. The astronaut can't help himself. The words bubble up inside him. I was on the moon. Ha! Quiff says. Who wasn't? I was there last week. I got back yesterday, Biotat says. Poodleskirt spits. You can take the suit off now. The astronaut walks away, but Quiff grabs his shoulder, takes out a blade, and slices the suit open. In a reflex, the astronaut slaps his hand over the opening. Sorry, Quiff says. Did I breach your suit? The friends rush over and tug at the rip, tearing the suit all over. The astronaut wrestles him off and runs away, their mocking laughter trailing behind him. Sleek-looking autocabs roll up beside him and open their doors. Sir, they say, you look tired. May I assist? He doesn't live far away enough to risk falling victim to a hacked cab's kidnapping protocol or worse. So he walks all the way home in the snow. I'll stop there.
Ooh. I am so excited. I have questions. Let's discuss. So congratulations on the reading. Absolutely fabulous. I need to know.
Thank you.
What made you decide to tell this story, and how do you deal with an astronaut that's been on the moon and everybody else has already been there? Like, what do you do? What's up with the suit? Like, tell us, Leo, because we need to know what's going on.
Sure. So, many things. First draft of this I wrote maybe 10 years ago. But I wasn't very good at writing anything really, especially not science fiction, which I find the toughest. And so at the beginning of every year, sometimes I'll bring out old drafts and prove to myself that I've improved by rewriting them. And I think the core point of this story was always there, which was about having to reinvent yourself constantly at different ages and having to give up earlier versions of yourself, and that there's a type of grief involved for that. But that there's always hope at any age, and that you can transform yourself. So that was the core message, was there in this terrible draft I wrote at 25. I just hadn't landed the point, and so I fleshed it out over and over. And I was certainly feeling that I was giving up an older version of myself at the time that I wrote it, which must have been 6 years ago now. And so it was a story I was telling to myself, and I did it in a type of world that I've always liked to be in films and in stories. This type of glowing technology-rich future, which is somehow reassuring and also kind of, well, it's reassuring in many ways. In one way that it's exciting and different as the future might be, but also people in the future have the same problems that we do, and that's reassuring also, that sometimes you might feel that you're born at the wrong time and place, or sometimes you might feel that, and I don't think that it is true. I think that at our core we all have things that we struggle with, and always will. Hope that summarizes what the story's about. Yeah.
You brought a beautiful point, because you said this is the kind of stories I like to see in films as well. So even when you're writing, your filmmaker side comes through. So have you noticed that before? Because it's a beautiful, like, just transition into like the fact that you're like, I wrote this story and yet I want to see this in film. How do the two worlds marry to each other? Because you are a filmmaker and the two just seems to just kind of crash into you. How do you make that work?
Good point. I mean, the great thing about fiction is you don't need to think about the budget whatsoever, right? And you can evoke the senses as well in a way that you can't so much in film. Some people can be creative with it, but primarily the five senses I think of, as are in fiction. But when it comes to visuals, and I mean, I think what I learned from filmmaking is the real economy of storytelling. I used to read screenplays even before I had any notions of making films. Maybe this is before I was willing to admit that I wanted to make films. I would read screenplays, but I was always impressed by how It just has to focus on what's happening, and you have to condense it as far as possible. And I think there's something uh, you can make a comparison between that and short stories, definitely, because every word in every sentence counts, and sentences have to perform multiple functions. So um, I think that, yeah, when it comes to filmmaking and writing, I'm very inspired by the density. And I think that you also, as a writer, probably realize that, especially if nobody's read your work before, you have to get to the point as fast as possible. Um,
I'm learning
yeah.
the older I get, the more of like that whole inciting incident. I want to put it as close to the beginning as possible. Like I don't have enough time anymore to like set up the world. I'm like, it needs to happen now. Like if I'm writing murder mysteries, like the body has to drop at like page one. It has to come somewhere as quickly as possible so you can
Mm,
be hooked. And I think that translates back to like our attention. You know, we're living in a culture in a world that our attention is less and less. So we have less of that, you know, time to just, you know, divulge in these words. And you're like, let's get to the point quickly. So I love the comparison between the economy of film and the books. This short story collection, what else can people expect in it? Tell us a little bit about the rest of the book.
sure. Let me take a look at the contents page. Well, I've got it up here. But wait, there's like 14 stories from all kinds of times that I've been writing. They're all science fiction stories, so that's what links them all. Um, Let me take a look at what else is here. So yeah,
So they,
so there's a story about. Sorry.
are they all your stories? Let's make sure our viewers understand. Are they all
Yeah,
yours? Okay, let's make sure
yeah,
because everybody says
yeah. That's right.
anthology and we think multiple authors.
Sure. Yeah. No, this is a collection of my own. There's 14 stories, I believe, and they're all future stories. There's a range of tones. Some are satirical, some are dread-inducing, some are novella length, some are just a page or two. Um, but I think, generally speaking, they're stories about future technology that we might have, and how it might influence our lives and how that reflects upon who we are today. And I think that if you're fans of something like Black Mirror or Love, Death and Robots, I certainly like both of those um, series, and that's probably the aptest comparison to what I was aiming for with the strength of these stories. Yeah.
How long did it take you to put all these stories together?
So I think the earliest one I might have written about 8 years ago, and then this collection I sent to the publisher a year and a half ago or something. So a really long time for a book that is maybe going to be about 250 pages in the end is just ridiculous. So probably over a decade. Um, because I doubt it would take me so long to assemble something like that again, because a lot of that decade is me learning how to write a sci-fi short story, which that's probably the toughest of all the many tough challenges I tend to set myself, because it's not just it's if you're telling like a short story in the present day, it's the world that we live in. You don't have to build that for other people. You don't have to introduce the technology and make sure that they understand it, and then have that influence the story, and have the story needs that technology as well, because otherwise, why is that technology in the story? It's just this uh, very complex puzzle, and certainly I wrote maybe double the amount of stories that are in this, but these are the only good ones.
I'm very impressed that you decided to tackle this because I prefer some space opera. Let's just kind of put some shenanigans in there. Yes, I prefer space opera than I do like military science fiction, just because science fiction is very legit. Like there has to be some science behind it. People want you to validate it, and like they're trying to see, can we do some quantum physics? And I'm like, I don't think I have the time or patience for it. Can we just put a wizard? Like, can we just do some magic and just wave it up and make it happen? I'm gonna cheat. Let's just have a talking cat and we'll be okay. So I'm impressed that you're doing this and that you had a blast putting it together. So time is never a problem as long as you're completing your projects. What are you working on
Oh yeah.
now? Are you still doing science fiction?
Yes, another novel coming out that's it's somewhat science fiction, but it's kind of surreal. It's called Beamed, and it's about beams of light that drop down on people at random, and it causes them to suffer for about 6 months on average. But they can run longer or they can go shorter if you're lucky. But it's an expression of bad luck and people build up all kinds of cultural ideas about them. They say, oh, you got a blue beam, that's because you were out in the country at the time. And there's no evidence for any of the things that people say about these beams, but they're trying to make meaning out of random suffering. And there's no apparent cure for the beams. So that sounds very typical of my kind of stories. People are always saying, like I said I do stand-up comedy as well, and the guy told me recently that I have a kind of non-threatening vibe about me, and I think that's very funny because a lot of my stories are very threatening. They're very dark.
Dark.
Yeah. But I think that I like to, like we said, get straight to the point of things, and I think that there's something about the visceral feel of reading a dark story that really grabs at people's emotions and really gets to the heart of something that binds all of us. So I find it a very communal mode to write in. Do I have any more science fiction on the go? I've done a few I've got like 3 realist novels that I've just written, and then a play, and an hour of stand-up comedy that I'm working on as well. But the science fiction takes a lot of, I'm very kind of petty in that I need to see a volume of pages for all these works, for all this hours that I poured into it, which is very silly. Like if the
I love it. You're like, I need some volume.
Yeah, I just need to see a stack of pages for all of this time that I'm pouring into it. So, and science fiction does that the least. So I revisit it the least in accordance, I think, yeah.
So can we get back to your stand-up comedy? Like, how do you juggle
Of
all
course,
these
sure.
pieces? Because you're doing stand-up comedy on top of writing and on top of filmmaking. How do you balance this, and where do you get your material for stand-up comedy? So we need to know.
Well, I bet that you would relate to the notion of having like a podcast on your books and your day job, and how your brain just opens up different spaces for them and tends to compartmentalize them. And once you tell your brain, I'm going to do this other thing, it says, okay, I'll give you ideas for this thing and this thing and this thing. And they all tend to be kind of separate. So the thing about, let me think. So yeah, the writing, I don't know, because if I have an idea, I don't know where it's going to go one way or another. I don't know if it's like a play, a film, or a piece of fiction. And the biggest determining factor is budget. Like, can I realistically pull this off or not? If I can pull it off in reality, I want to. I think there's something, if I have the time, there's something very real about the idea of people dedicating time to acting out an idea that just, there's something that feels very real about it, whereas the connection you have with a page is one-on-one, individual, and kind of daydream-like, which I also like in a different mode, but it's something you can kind of dismiss more easily if you didn't see a real person act it out, I think. I don't know. I mean, nobody really knows the differences between these. And as for my stand-up comedy, I was thinking about it. I decided to challenge myself to do it, and I would book it once a month. Was like the only availability at the open mic. And every time I went up, it says I'm going to do a different 5 minutes. And the very fact that I had set myself that challenge made my brain write it. Just I had to do it because I'd set myself that challenge. And the comedy comes from like my own daily observations of my own life. And I was looking at, as I was pulling together a larger collection of my own jokes, I looked at all the bits I'd cut. And it just starts with me kind of venting or journaling, and then a joke emerges. So the jokes all go in one document, and then everything I've cut goes in the other. And in the rejected document, it's just like, wow, Leo, you're making a lot of great points. They're not funny, So I don't know if that explains the difference between, as best I understand it,
I love the fact that you have your own running commentating on your own art. You're like, that was great. It's not a joke, but it's still really good. We should get back to that. So I love the way everything kind of flows and the way you embrace it. It is absolutely beautiful to see you embrace all these different pieces and have a place for all of them. So here's the question that I ask usually all authors. What advice would you give an up-and-coming author? But here, more importantly, one that has all these different pieces that they enjoy, and then they're trying to figure it out, what do I do and how do I do it? So tell us.
How to get started. Take yourself seriously. You deserve to do this as much as anyone else. And if you have an impulse and you want to follow it, then go for it. I mean, the biggest kind of mentorship, I suppose, that I've gotten involved in was through my filmmaking club. because I would help other filmmakers make their short films, and some of them want their films to reach big festivals and they want to be known very well. Some of them just want to try it out because they've never done it before, and they make a short film and they go, that was cool, I've never done that before, and then they go, now I'm going to go knit, and they're these whatever your impulse is, whatever your outcome of it is, it's valid to me. And if you do it, if you pick up a camera and shoot something with the aim of making a coherent narrative one day, then you're a filmmaker to me. If you type a really terrible short story or whatever as your first one is going to be, then you're a writer in my book. So take yourself seriously. Don't let anyone stop you from taking you seriously. And think about what you really want to say. I think that people get caught up in the notion of following trends or, I don't know, creating a staggering masterpiece, whatever it is. I think that the impulse to write, make a film, tell a joke has something to do with expressing yourself. And so think about what it is that you want to express and get to know yourself better, because that ultimately will always be the biggest gift that the art gives you, I think. Don't you think?
That's a really beautiful way to say it. I think sometimes we forget why we start and we make it very, very complicated. We're trying to fit all the little bubbles that everybody has instead of just making art because you want to express yourself and you love what you're doing and you just want to create. Your example of making a short video and then going to knit is perfect. I'm like, oh my God, that would totally, I know friends like that. And it's perfect.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with it.
Fine by me.
Yeah.
Fine by me. Why not? It's your life. Yeah.
I did the thing is done, I can move on. So I'm like, I can totally see that. That makes perfect sense. So absolutely love it. So dear, tell us, where can people learn more about the books, more about your films? What is your website? And do you have social media? Where they can find you?
Yes, I'm on Instagram, Facebook, relaunched my TikTok recently. I've been making lots of little short clips about how to make a short film and my thoughts on writing and so on, to try and link people back to the books and have more of an online social presence, as all authors must these days. So I always say that if there is a social media platform, you can find me begrudgingly on it. But I also have a YouTube channel that I'm going to be putting more videos on. My blog is leoxrobertson.wordpress.com. And I think that's everything.
I like it. That's a lot. So I love the fact that you are on social media by force and not because this is the master plan you choose to do. You're like, So I need to go find you on TikTok. So I absolutely, especially if you're doing videos about videos, I need to follow. Not that I spend that much time there, but when I'm there, I would like to see you. So this is the part. Dear, it has been such a pleasure chatting with you, getting to know you. I'm excited about the book. Are you ready for the lightning round? So before you leave us, are you ready?
I was born ready. Let's have it.
Oh, I love it. Let's do this. Candlelight dinner or breakfast in bed?
Breakfast in bed. Then I'm not leaving.
It's a good call. Superhero or villain?
Villain.
Me too. Plays or movies? This should be interesting for you. Which one would
you pick? Plays. Why not? How rare an event those are.
Look at you. Desktops or laptops?
Laptops. In bed with breakfast.
Just gonna mix it up and then go to a play. Why not? So, a little different. Let's see how you do with this one. One word that best describes you.
Oh, weird.
I think the face you made was priceless. You're like, what?
Oh, that guy. Got to be in that guy's head. Okay.
Dear, truly a pleasure, Mr. Leo. Congratulations on the book. Congratulations on everything you're doing, from the films to the stand-up. Do you have any closing remarks for us?
It was a pleasure to be here. Please do check out my book. I worked very hard on it, and you and I will keep in touch for sure.
I'm excited. I'm definitely booking a session so you can guide me through filmmaking again, so I can't wait. Congratulations.
Love to.
You're absolutely amazing having you on the show. To our viewers and listeners, thank you for joining us another episode of Inside the Minds of Authors. We love to have you. I'm excited you guys are getting to see exciting and passionate authors talking about the books. check out Mr. Leo, check out his website, TikTok, whatever you want. It's going to be amazing. And I will see you guys if you are joining me live in another hour and a half, 3 o'clock, for another amazing author. So see you guys soon. Bye, my friends.